Welcome to Essential C.S. Lewis on YouTube, a feature of essentialcslewis.com. I'm William O'Flaherty. My guest today is Dan Hamilton from the C.S. Lewis Society of Central Indiana. He's here to share about Inklings in Indiana 2026. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you, William. This is good. It's good to see you again after meeting you a past couple of Inklings in Indy.
Yeah, I was there 2 years ago. It was very, very enjoyable. Well, so let's go ahead and up front here get into just a little bit of detail so people can know the essential information about the event, the what, where, and the who, and we'll get into more details in just a bit.
The Inklings in Indy conference will be Saturday, July 11th from 10 to 6 p.m. at our new location on our new venue on the west side of Indianapolis. It's very easy to get to from 465. We have four featured speakers this year. Yourself, William O'Flaherty. We'll also hear from Charlie W. Starr, Paul Michelson, and myself.
Speaking of being there 2 years ago, this is obviously not your first event, so share some about how long you've been doing this and a few more details.
Well, this is our fourth annual event. Um, we note that it's one of the few one-day in-person regional conferences with multiple speakers, a catered lunch, and there's abundant time for meeting old friends and making new ones. We specifically set up the schedule so that people can drive in from a five-state area, join us for the day, and drive home easily that night. So no hotels or extended travel is required. We do, however, for those attendees that need a night's lodging, we try to match people with local hosts. I mentioned this is one of the very few in-person Lewis-focused multi-speaker events that isn't on one of the coasts. So it's really easy to get to for the Midwest.
All right, and then what about the advance registration and such?
We're closing the advance registration on June 30th, just so I can handle all the logistics and lunch arrangements. But walk-ins are welcome on the day of the conference. But if you walk in, you won't be guaranteed a lunch or one of our special souvenir mugs.
Ah, yes, I still have mine. It's nice, perfect size, and such. And so it's a variety of different mugs is the way you did it a couple years ago. So it's not specific to the event per se, but it is something unique to your event. So that's really nice that you're still doing that. Well, speaking of unique things, go ahead and I guess you did share some about that unique aspects about it being one of the few in-person Lewis-focused events between the East and West Coast. But tell us some more about the speakers.
The speakers and topics that we have lined up are yourself, William O'Flaherty, and the title you gave us is Hiding in Plain Sight, Discoveries from C.S. Lewis, Blurbologist. And I think you might have a word to say about that.
Sure, yeah. So there was a special edition of one of the Lewis journals that the topic was just C.S. Lewis blurbologist, and it looked at it's sort of like a promotional material that is written. It's not so much as maybe done today, or I guess big name authors may do it, but definitely in Lewis's day, when the first edition hardback came out there was he would be asked to usually write something about it that summarized it. And so this is something that really was not noticed to a large extent. And so Justin Keenan had done a lot of great research. And so I've been in contact with him. So it's with his full permission and stuff to share about some of his great discoveries. And people may want to consider picking up a copy. But they'll definitely learn some things related to Lewis that few people are familiar with.
It's fun to explore the areas of Lewis scholarship that have been previously overlooked. We also have Charlie W. Starr, professor and writer. and I'm looking forward to hearing this one. The Screwtape Antidote, Solving an Old Mystery. Uh, the Lewis arena, the Lewis people have known for some time that there's a copy of the Screwtape letters in which Lewis wrote fragments of what might be letters from angels to act as a balance to the devilish designs and the advice of Screwtape. Charlie has been researching that over the last several years, and I hear he's got some new information for us.
Yes, I really appreciate Charlie doing this topic. Of course, Screwtape is something that's near and dear to my heart. That's what I talked about 2 years ago when I was there, and that actually led to my most recent book, the Screwtape Letters Handbook.
We also have Paul Michelson. He'll be speaking on the invisible inkling, that other Lewis brother, Warren Hamilton Lewis. And Warren tends to live in the shadow of Jack Lewis. So Paul will be bringing out some of the scholarship and overlooked information on Warney. Paul is a professor emeritus from Huntington College and is a leading figure in the Romanian Renaissance of Lewis studies. And I'll be addressing Worlds in Collision, Deciphering the Place of the Lion by Charles Williams. It's one of those books that people ask me about, saying, I read this book and it was fascinating. I liked it. What was it about? And it's one of the books that needs some help unpacking. So we'll be doing that.
And then I'll jump in just to share some about your background for those who are not familiar. You've led the C.S. Lewis Society of Central Indiana for nearly 20 years. You're an engineer, computer guy, independent researcher, all sorts of great stuff there. And then let's see if I can pronounce the institute. Or go ahead and tell me you're a graduate of what institute?
Rose Holman Institute of Technology
Okay, yeah,
in
and then
Terre Haute, Indiana. It's an engineering school.
okay. And you've written or edited more than 20 books, and you were actually part of a group that bought the kilns back in 1985 and kept it from falling down until a permanent foundation could be established to take it over. So, Lewis friends owe a debt of gratitude to you and all the others that were involved with that.
Our speakers have a full hour to delve into the complex details and explore rabbit holes and engage in discussion. There's a catered deli meal and snacks, book tables, and probably a workshop on caring for your book collection. So we
Ah.
hope to prevent or to prevent. We hope to present a varied and interesting program for the day.
Yes, it definitely is, and I would say that even if I wasn't involved in it as well. And tell us about what's the cost involved.
It's a very minimal cost. For $60, you get to hear four speakers, view some little known videos, and have a catered deli lunch. The cutoff for advanced registration is June 30th. After that, walk-ins are welcome, but you might not get the lunch or our souvenir mug. And this year we are offering discount tickets, $30 if you're in high school or college.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I do definitely encourage people, if you're watching this still in 2026 in the month of June, to go ahead. Of course, there's still a week or so before the actual event. If you're watching this before July 11th, 2026, and then we should be able to, or through the links that will be in the description, one should be able to still track to see what's happening in future times if you're watching this after the fact. So, well, just go ahead and tell us then about how and where can a person register?
So the basic information is on our Facebook page, although we will be moving to a new page soon. So the best approach is to send an email to the link that's listed below. That comes straight to me and I can handle all your questions.
All right, yeah. So we'll have that in the description for people to be able to do that then. Well, yeah, now let's go into a little bit of history. What led to the formation of the C.S. Lewis Society of Central Indiana?
It has roots in a book collection. Dr. Edwin Brown had in the 70s and 80s and 90s the best Inklings slash Lewis private collection in the world. And I met Ed in the 80s and Dr. David Newhouser at Taylor. And eventually his collection came to Taylor as the Brown collection. And along with that acquisition, Taylor started having the C.S. Lewis colloquia on a every 18-month event. Dr. Newhouser and I started the Lewis and Friends Society. That ran for several years. And then in 2008, Michael Ward came to Taylor to talk about his book, Planet Narnia. And a few of us who had gone up for the talk began discussing on the way home, we really need something like this in Indianapolis. We looked around, couldn't find a group, so we planted the flagpole in the ground, said, okay, we are the C.S. Lewis Society. So we've been meeting since 2008, all the way through 2020 in person. But then, like most of the rest of the world, we had to move to Zoom. And we've picked up so many members outside our region and internationally, so we've stayed with Zoom. The Inklings in Indy is a partial attempt to recapture the wonderful atmosphere of the Taylor Colloquia and to provide some in-person fellowship again.
Oh, excellent. Well, now, what's special or unique about the group? And you actually, I guess, talked about the other meetings. So, but I wanted to be sure that you did share about that. But to go ahead and uh, hit that angle about what makes this group different from, say, maybe some others.
We're a little bit different than some other Lewis groups. We don't have any academic or corporate attachments or support. We're not attached to an institution or or anyone with money. Most of our members are not academics or theologians. They usually have a degree in some unrelated field, but have abundant curiosity about the lives and the works of the Inklings and how their work can affect our current lives.
Okay. Well, now, you noted a little bit about when you mentioned about Dr. Edwin Brown, but so let's have you elaborate some on that. In that you had slipped into a particular niche in the Inklings Lewis studies, which led to the investigation into literary history. You had helped Dr. Brown in 2006 about a book entitled "In Pursuit of C.S. Lewis." Tell us what more specifically that book is, and then how did it come about?
If you ever met Ed Brown, you understood pretty quickly that he was a marvelous storyteller. And he could hold you spellbound for an hour or two telling stories about how he happened across this particular book, uh, how he chanced upon friends of Lewis and made friends with them. His wife was always nudging him, Ed, you need to write these stories down. You know, you won't live forever and we will want to read them when you're not here. So at some point, I started, well, I was always following him around to hear him talk. And I started making notes and I did film some of his talks. So I constructed a skeleton book with all the anecdotes that I knew about in it and gave it to him. Said, "Did I get this right?" And he said, "Well, no, this was more like this." And that triggered the floodgates of memory. And uh, he wrote all the rest of the material in the book. And we decided, yeah, this is worth publishing. And we added at the back of the book Ed's copious, technically detailed notes on how to identify first and notable editions. And that was 100 or so pages so that the collector or book dealer can verify, yes, this indeed is a first edition, or it's one that's worth buying and reselling at considerable cost. And that became pretty much the de facto standard for serious Lewis collectors. Sadly, in need of an update, but it's still pretty much the touchstone.
Excellent. And we'll have a link in the show notes or in the description about where people can get a copy of that. Well, let's go ahead and close out by just recapping for about the 2026 Inklings in Indy. Give us the dates again and the essential information.
Saturday, July 11th, 2026, in Indianapolis, Indiana, on the west side. And we'll be providing maps and travel information later on to people that wish to register.
Okay, excellent. And again, we hope people will consider this. And then I know previously I did do some video. I know I shared my own talk, and I think I just did highlights of maybe the others and stuff. So people will want to come out to do it in person because that's the only option is in person. There's no simultaneous virtual one for this. It's all in person.
And that's one of the more important parts of the conference is the people. I look back over the conferences and events I've been to, and I tend to remember the people I've met more clearly than I remember any given presentation. So
Mhm.
it's a valuable part of the fellowship within the Lewis and Inklings community.
Yeah, excellent. Well, again, we hope people will come on out to that and look forward to seeing everyone there. And Dan, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for watching Essential C.S. Lewis on YouTube, a feature of essentialcslewis.com. I'm William O'Flaherty. I also have a YouTube channel called Adult Autism with William, where I share about only learning I was autistic at the age of 60, along with understanding level 1 autism from the perspective of an adult. The channel has also interviews with other autistic adults. At essentialcslewis.com, you can find a variety of material, including various interviews with authors related to Lewis and sometime live recordings. Please consider liking, sharing this video, and subscribing to this channel. Finally, please follow the link in the description to learn about my latest book, the Screwtape Letters Handbook. Also, there'll be a link to my other book from 2018, The Misquotable C.S. Lewis. Thanks again for watching.